I'm going to start doing the wiring. I've been thinking about this, I don't know, 6 months before I even got the van, thinking about what lights I want, what power I want, where everything's going to be located. A little bit different when you get the van and realise that you can't get a cable over a certain way, or you've got to go the long way round. But we'll suss it out. So what I've done is I started with some. These are all my wiring circuits. They're not pretty, but they will just give me a rough idea of what I'm doing, where I'm running. So yeah, I've got like spotlights, cupboard lights, Wi-Fi power, fridge power, to 30 volts, shower fan, max air fan. So I use those as my guide, and we'll start working out the routes of where to get all of the cables. Some of the plans have changed a little bit, where I'm having the 12-volt fuse. I found a better location up in one of the top lockers. Saves running all of the cables back to the electrical cupboard, and again, it's all weight saving. Saves on some money on material bits and pieces, but I'm sure that the plan will change again. The wiring method seems to be working, so I go off my plan. And then I've been running all the cables through the plastic conduit, and that's going to its various locations. It looks a little bit of a mess at the moment, but once I've tidied them all up, it will all make sense. And then what I've been doing is when I've finished wiring from my plan, I've been sticking it over there as that's done. Label up all the cables with a cable reference to the drawings I've got, so because I'm bound to forget what they all are when I come to terminating them all. So we'll see, but it seems to be working. Only another 8 more diagrams to get through. Another circuit in, that's the shower fan. So literally take it off there on the dump pile, and that literally runs up, will be from my fuse board up over one of the ribs, and then down into the, on the right, down into the shower. Okay. Pulling in the cables for the Truma diesel heater, I found a route from the heater up over to the fuse board. It does say that if you're going to run more than 5 meters for the 12-volt supply, it needs to be a 6mm cable. But my route's 4.5 meters, and I'm going to go with a 4.5mm cable. You need to run the data cable for the screen. There's a temp sensor and the 2 30-volt. So yeah, my route is coming from the heater, and then I've got it running up here, and it's just a matter of now putting the cables through, and I'm going to run them over to where my fuse board is going to be. I've just done a quick test run of the awning light, so that the cable's been run, and I've just done a sort of jerry rig just to sort of see that it's working. So it's the first circuit that is working. I'll show you. So I've got the cable that comes down from the roof, and I've just put it into a couple of Wagos, and then all I've done is just a temporary wiring down to a little 12-volt battery just to test. So I'll go and show you. That's the awning lights on. So I think when the lights are wired up, I'm going to put them into a switch and possibly a dimmer. that way, then because I think they might be a bit bright at night time. They don't look that bright now, but I think if it's pitch black and you've got those on, being the LEDs, they're quite looks like a white light. So I think just to put a dimmer on, that'll sort of give you a bit of adjustability on the light. But yeah, first circuit and it works. So I've got my 2 solar cables coming down. I'm running them in the back section of the van, and then they come down, and then I've run them into a breaker for now, or an isolator switch. All right, more wiring. I've got all the cables in the location that I want them to be in. Now it's just a matter of checking all the circuits, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. I know you can see. So I'm just making sure that I've got all of the cables where I want them. So that's going to be to all the switches, and then this bunch is all going to be to the 12 volt fuse board. So just making sure that all my circuits are in. I've got all drawings for all my cables, and I've just got them up on the wall so I can check each circuit, make sure that they're all going to be okay. So yeah, getting there, but what a faff. Right, now the fun begins. We've got all the van electrics to do. So I'm not out of the carpentry and the fit out, but it's got to a point where I'm going to start now doing the van electric. So show you what I've got, and this is all the stuff that needs to go in under one of the bench seats. So what have I got? All right, that's just a charger. Don't need that. Then I've got my MPPT solar charger. That's the Lynx power. Probably should have gone for the Lynx distributor, but I think you can adapt that to do the same job. That's my mains consumer board. The Turbo GX, so that's the brains of the operation. Okay, this is the smart shunt. So this will be so that's the smart shunt. So that's a Bluetooth. So you can get the information, I believe, on your phone, and it will do the voltage, what the battery's using. That's the Orion XS. So that's a DC to DC battery charger. So it's like a fuse holder. And then I've got some RJ45 cables, so just a data cable. And what's this one? This one looks like it's another VE direct cable. So again, another data cable. I've got a few of those. I've got a couple of 12 volt fuse boards. And then just a selection of fuses. So I've got like a 300 amp fuse. These are rated at 80 amps. So I think there's some different ones here, 80s and 80s. Some blade fuses, lugs for all the cables, all different sizes, different fuses. And then some manuals, some brackets. Okay, that's most of the electrical components laid out. So all of that has got to go in a tiny little area under my bench seat. The other stuff that needs to go in, I need to put the battery and I need to put the inverter. So at the moment, the battery's just been laid in and the inverter's been laid in, but I've got to try and work out the placement of everything. Also in the back there, I've got the solar isolator or breaker, and down in the bottom, I don't know if you can see them, I put a torch, and down in the bottom I've you see it in there, but let's move some cables out of the way. Okay, and what I've done is I've got my earth points where just behind the rear near side wheel arch. So I've just ground off the paintwork and put a bolt through. So there I've got 3 locations to get my earths. But yeah, so that's where it's all got to go. All right, just getting set up to do the electrical install. So I've tried to make sure I've got everything that I need to do the install, because otherwise I know it's a lot of stopping, starting, and ordering bits and pieces. So a selection of tools. I'll go through the tools I've got. So I've got some ferrule crimpers, selection of hand tools. I've got the wire strippers, some crimpers. Like I said, the hydraulic to do the big lugs. And then I've got some different ring terminals. I've got some heat shrinks for the cables. I've got some ferrules, different sizes. And I've also got some heat shrink connectors. And again, a heat gun to do the heat shrink. So let's see if we can get this built. All of my electrics, I got Roma to design and supply everything. So from the batteries, a 460 amp hour lithium phosphate battery. So that's pretty big. The inverter is the Multi Plus 2. They've designed all of the electric, so they've given me a schematics of how to wire it all up. Some of it's already been done, like I've put in the cables, the DC to DC. So they're running from the battery at the front of the vehicle. They're going under the vehicle, and then they come out into my electrical cupboard. And I've got the water sender units for the fresh water and the grey water. Obviously, I've got my cables in here for my 230 volt stuff. So for sockets, the Truma diesel heater needs mains power, and there'll be some other cables coming in. And like I said, that's my solar cables. I've got the schematics for the wiring, but I'm going to start with the nice easy bits. I'm just going to start with all the data cables. So I think that should be fairly easy before I start getting into all the big stuff. Okay, for the water sender, for the water tanks, for the grey and the fresh, what I've done is I've just put some ferrules onto the end of the cables that are going to the sender unit, and then that will just plug into the GX, and you just put it into the bottom. And at the bottom, if you look, it says that you've got for tank, temp, and then some digital inputs. So for the sender units, they're going to go into where it says tank, and you've got up to 4. I'm only going to use 2 because I've got a fresh water and I've got the grey water, the waste. It doesn't matter about the which way you put them in. So that's my fresh. I'm making some quite good progress with the electrical setup. Show you. So that's most of it in. I'll do a proper talk through when it's all done. But I managed to get some trunk. Well, it's not fixed, but I'm just lining everything up, and it can all be lidded. So it fits in there quite nicely. Okay, I'm just turning the Lynx power into a Lynx distributor. So you have to put the M8 bolts underneath this plastic retaining clip, and then once you've kind of put the bolts on, then you can put your fuse across. So then that becomes a Lynx distributor, and then you can attach your power and negative supplies to this side, and then it's all fused. Yeah, it's coming together. That's the rest of the electrical covered at the moment. Started to make the ends for the power, the main isolators in. Yeah, get in there. Started to put some blue trunking in. Okay, got to put the 95mm lug onto the cable, so just marking out where I want to trim the outer sheath. And literally just go around nice and gently. Okay, so that's that trim back. Now all you need to do is put the lug on, trying to get all the strands inside. There you go. Give it a good press. That's all the way to the end. Then we've got a hydraulic clamp. So put it in there. Try and do it one hand in. Right. That's pressed in. Squeeze. Probably do it on the floor. I'm just trying to show it on the camera. Fuck, that's tight. There you go. So then just repeat it for all the other ends. Right, that's the two power leads made up. So that's going from the Lynx distributor to the Multi Plus 2, the inverter. So yeah, they're ready to go in. Okay, that's the electrics all installed. I'll give you a talk through and show you how the setup works, and then what we'll do is fire it up and see if we go bang. Let's have a look. Okay, so this is the full setup. So I've got the Roma 460 amp hour battery, the Multi Plus 2, that's a 3000 watt inverter, and then I've got the Servo GX, then I've got the Orion XS 50 to 50 amp, then that's my main, I don't know if you can see that, that's my main consumer board. So I've used all of them apart from I've got a spare one if I want to run maybe a microwave. That's my breaker for the solar, and then I've got the MPPT that's 100/50 because I've got 420 amp hours of solar on the roof, and then I've got my Lynx power that's been converted to a Lynx distributor, the main isolator, and that's the smart shunt. So it's all wired up. I've put it all into trunking as best I can. So yeah, so I think it's now right. We'll give it the big switch on. So first things first is to turn on the main isolator. And we've got power. I think the servo is firing up. The Orion seems to be working. Alright, let's go and have a look at the screen. Okay, it looks like the screen's powering up, but I've got lights on, so I just, yeah, whilst that's powering up, because at the moment, so we haven't got any power to the screen. But this is all my fuse board to run all my 12 volts. The only problem is I haven't got any labels to label it all up, but I've wired it all, so that's running. I'll just show you, that's running like all my 12 volt lighting. Okay. Alright, so this is loading up. There you go. So 69% battery, and I'm drawing 50 watts. The inverter is off, so no AC load. Not connected to shore power. No solar because I'm in the unit, and the alternator isn't charging. That's fine. Water levels 67% fresh water. I haven't got any in the grey, and I've wired in a temperature sensor to get the temperature of the inverter. Because I've had to lay the inverter down on its side, that's not ideal, as you're meant to have it vertical to help with the airflow. I didn't have the space for that, but it doesn't say from Victron that you can't lay it on its side as long as it's got plenty of ventilation. So what I've done is I've put a temperature sensor that comes with the Victron. So with the temperature sensor, that's running into the Servo GX, and then what I'll have is I'll fit a fan, and the Servo GX will, through its relays, turn on and off the fan, and you can set that through the Touch 70 screen. So I can set the parameters, so a certain temperature, the relay will kick in and turn on the fan. So it'll be a 12 volt fan, something like you're getting a computer. And then I'll mount that on the side of my bench, down on the side, so that will just help with the airflow. So yeah, so it'll pick up the temperature sensor. The relay is on the Servo GX. So that's my electrical install. I'll walk you around. So I've got a USB and the 230 socket. And that's the same, they're all touch lights. And in the toilet I've got the fan, and I've got another light up there. It does look a mess, but literally I'm just waiting for a control panel to be made that's going to go in there, that's going to house all of my switches. But to give you sort of a run through, I've got everything switched, and they're two-way switches and on dimmers. So that's above the bed, and again I can dim them or turn them off. They're also controlled from these switches, so I can have the lights coming on. They're all dimmable, and then I've got switches for lights, again all two-way, so they can be switched where you are or at the main control panel. USB charger, what's this one do? So that's all the cabinet lights, so I can just switch them on and off from here instead of having to go around and individually turn them off. So that's all switched. So I'll probably do another video with when all the control panels on. It'll just show that the switch is better, but I'll do that when the van's completely finished. So yeah, back up in here, that's my fuse board, and I've got the Wi-Fi router, if that works. Yeah, so that's powering up. I've fitted some USB ports in some of the lockers. Just nice if you've got your laptop or phones and you want them out of the way, you can charge them up from there. Under the table I've got another USB and the 230 socket. The fridge, yeah, is up and running, so that's working. All right, so that's pretty much all the electrics installed. Hope you've enjoyed watching this one. I know it was a little bit sketchy in places because it was kind of filmed over weeks and weeks, and it's hard to kind of do just an electrical video when you're still trying to build the rest of the van. And the electric started probably in the first couple of weeks of owning the van, and now I'm 5 months into it. I'm just about to finish, and the electrics sort of go from the start all the way to the end of the build. So I tried to film it in one sort of video for you, but again, appreciate that it was done over months of the build. But yeah, any questions, drop us a comment, and I can always answer if you've got any questions about any of the electrical setup or any of the materials that I've used. Next week I'll do the video on the lift bed, so that's pretty much finished now. So again, that will operate and that will come down and then up. All right, cheers for watching, like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one.